Cash flow management is a critical pillar of business plan development because a profitable business can still face serious problems if cash is not available when expenses come due. Profitability reflects performance over time, while cash flow focuses on the timing of money entering and leaving the business. The key idea is simple. Profitability alone doesn't keep the lights on. A strong business plan, therefore, considers not only how the business will earn money, but also how it will maintain enough cash to operate consistently. A business can look profitable in its financial statements and still face serious trouble if cash isn't available when bills, payroll, or other obligations come due. Cash flow is the timing and movement of money entering and leaving the business. Profit tells us what the accounting records show over a period of time, but it doesn't guarantee that cash is in the bank today. Cash is reality. That's why managing cash flow is essential to keeping the business operating, even when the underlying business appears profitable. Cash flow comes from three distinct areas, and each tells us something different about the business. Operating cash flow is the clearest signal of business health because it reflects cash generated by core activities, such as sales, after operating expenses. Investing cash flow covers long-term assets, including equipment, property, or acquisitions, and helps us understand growth and capital allocation. Financing cash flow shows how the business funds itself through loans, investor equity, or repayments. Together, these categories provide a more complete view of how cash moves through the company. A common fatal mistake is confusing sales with financial health. Profit reflects what the business has earned on paper, while cash flow reflects the money actually collected and available to operate. For example, a company might invoice $200,000, but collect only $80,000 this month. That difference creates a cash gap, even if the business appears profitable. Your business plan must address both profit and cash flow, because investors and lenders need confidence that the company can sustain operations, not simply generate sales. This slide illustrates the cash flow cycle that keeps a business operating. Cash comes into the business's revenue or other sources, then supports day-to-day operations and expenses. Those activities create cash outflows, but they also enable the company to continue serving customers and generating future income. The remaining cash can then be directed toward reinvestment, such as strengthening the operation or supporting growth. Understanding the timing of this cycle is essential, because it helps me anticipate shortfalls early and plan before they become crises. Cash flow belongs in a business plan because it demonstrates that I understand how money moves through the business, not just how revenue is generated. A 12-month cash flow projection is especially important because investors and lenders expect to see when cash comes in, when it goes out, and whether funding gaps may arise. It also allows me to identify those gaps early before they become urgent. Finally, showing positive or well-managed cash flow builds investor confidence by signaling that the business is operationally sound and capable of scaling. Cash flow problems often come from optimistic assumptions rather than poor sales. First, don't treat an invoice as cash in the bank. Net 30 or net 60 payment terms can create a serious gap between billing and receiving payment. Also, account for seasonal slowdowns, so lower revenue months don't become emergencies. Startup costs deserve the same caution, because unexpected setup and operating expenses can drain cash quickly. Most importantly, maintain a cash reserve. Without a buffer, one broken machine or lost client can put the entire business under pressure. Effective cash flow management comes down to timing, visibility, and discipline. First, accelerate receivables by invoicing immediately upon delivery and offering discounts for early payment. Next, delay payables strategically by negotiating favorable supplier terms while protecting those relationships. Maintain a reserve equal to roughly 3 to 6 months of operating expenses, so unexpected changes do not immediately disrupt operations. Finally, use a rolling forecast and update it monthly. That keeps projections aligned with real-world changes and helps identify potential cash shortages early when there is still time to respond. This simple cash flow statement shows how cash moves through the business over 2 months. Cash sales increased from $18,000 in month 1 to $20,500 in month 2. Operating expenses also rise from $14,200 to $15,800, while loan repayment remains steady at $2,000. The key takeaway is the improvement in net cash flow from $1,800 to $4,700. That suggests revenue growth is outpacing the increase in expenses, creating a stronger cash position, exactly the kind of trend investors watch. Cash flow is where the different parts of your business plan come together. It tests whether your revenue expectations translate into actual cash, supports the amount of funding you're requesting, and shows that you consider financial risk. That makes it more than a standalone statement. It's an integrated view of how the business operates financially over time. A business plan without a cash flow projection is incomplete. It can also signal to investors, lenders, or other stakeholders that the financial planning hasn't been fully thought through. The key takeaway is simple. Cash is not the same as profit. Profitability and liquidity both matter, but cash supports day-to-day survival. Plan ahead with a 12-month forecast, then monitor and update it regularly. Active cash management helps a business move beyond survival and scale with confidence.